What's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my entire cube collection. I figured NxN is a pretty good place to start. So starting with the lowest one, here is my 1x1. I only have one, and it's pretty useless. Moving on to 2x2, I have 6 2x2s, well, technically 7, but we don't talk about this one. Starting off in chronological order, my first 2x2 was this YJ Upo 2x2. It's not horrible. I mean, most 2x2s nowadays aren't horrible, but it does have some weird catching issues. Next, we have this NxN Little Magic 2x2. It's non-magnetic. It turns decently well, but I mean, it's not magnetic, so it's pretty terrible by today's standards. Next, we have these two YJ MGC 2x2s. I got one in stickered, one in stickerless. The stickerless one is the Cubicle Labs setup version. They both turn pretty great, I would say. Neither of them are my mains, but I do really like both of them. But the stickerless one, a piece did snap off, so. There we go. Next we have the GAN 251M Pro. I love this cube, it's my main. It turns just so well, like all GAN cubes. I can spam Alex as fast as I want, and yeah, overall I just love this 2x2. Finally, we have the YJ MGC Elite 2x2. I got this after my original stickerless MGC broke. I don't like it as much, it just feels a little too blocky. It is way more stable than the regular MGC, but I don't like it just because I don't think I can turn as fast on it, and it's not as reliable. Alright, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but this is just some random cheeky keychain 2x2. It's absolutely horrible. And when you take the keychain out, it has this annoying little bump right here, and it gets in the way of turning. Moving on to 3x3. Again, this is going to go in chronological order. First up, we have this Rubik's 3x3. I don't necessarily know exactly how old this is. I think I got this maybe 9 years ago. Scrambled it as soon as I got it. It sat on my desk for probably 5 years before, during COVID, I picked it up, figured out how to solve it, and I guess we're here now. And it turns pretty terrible and is incredibly loud. Next we have this NxN Little Magic 3x3. It's actually still not horrible. It's not magnetic, so by today's standards it's not great. But I mean, it still turns fine. Obviously, I tried to learn blind on this cube, and that hasn't gone very well. But yeah, I mean, I still like it. It's my first ever real speed cube, I guess. And yeah, it still turns pretty well. Next, we have the NxN Kylan V2. I tried to turn this cube into an F2L trainer because I didn't like it as much as my Little Magic, so I figured I could learn F2L on this. And a piece is also broken and I've lost it, so now it's just all around pretty bad. Next we have the GAN 354M. This is my first magnetic cube. When I ordered this, my hands were a little smaller. That was years ago, so I assumed that the smaller size would be better for my hands. It was at the time. Now this feels a little small, and it even feels a little small when I tried to use it for OH. Doesn't turn all that great now. It's been kind of collecting dust for a few years. And when I ordered it from Australia, so it took like 3 months to come. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, overall, still not a bad cube. Next we have the GAN 11 that I put in a jar. Not the 11M Pro, but just the regular 11 before the 11M Pro came out. It was my main for a while until I found that I fit Moyu cubes better. Moyu cubes just work better for me. And I decided to put it in a jar as this cool little decoration. It's pretty fun. It confuses people when they see it. Moving on, this is the Huaming YS3M Ball Core Magnetic Core UV whatever. Names are pretty long, especially for Chinese companies. This is my first UV coated cube, and this was my main after the 11M. I loved it. I loved how it was more stable than GAN cubes. It's a little heavier, which I actually like more. The cubes are a little bit heavier. I feel like I'm actually turning something instead of just turning air. And yeah, I used this for a while. Got some pretty good times on it. Now we have the Moyu WRM V9. I got this while I had the Huaming, and I actually ended up liking the Huaming more because I don't know, I just found that this cube didn't fit my turning style as well, but I still like it. Turns pretty well. Again, I like Moyu cubes more than Gang cubes more. I also rubbed off the logo because I don't really like logos on my cubes, but yeah. Next we have the Moyu Super RS3M. Funny story behind this one actually. Me and my friends were starting a cubing club at my school, and we decided to hold a little inter-school competition to drum up hype for it. And we ordered a bunch of these cubes just for people who didn't have cubes to compete. And I ended up liking them, and I figured I would order one with maglev. And I'm actually using this for my 1 turn per day series right now. After that, we have the Moyu RS3M 2020. This was an insanely popular cube. Everyone loved it when it came out. It's only $9. I ordered this one with the Max Park setup from the Cubicle, and then I liked it for a little while, ended up liking the YS3M more again, and then ended up just not using this one for a while. It sat, the lube got all gummy, and then when I tried to turn it again, I really didn't like it. And then just recently, I decided to clean it out, lube it, and then I thought, why not take the maglev out of the Super RS3M and put it in here? So I put maglev in here, set it up again how I like it, and now this cube is actually my main. I just love how it turns. I feel like I can turn incredibly fast, and I have not set any PBs on this cube yet, but coming soon. Speaking of PBs, this is the Moyu RS3M V5. I have a lot of RS3Ms. Moyu has a lot of confusing cube names. This cube is UV coated with maglev, and I'm pretty sure this one has the magnetic core. It also came with this cute little robot stand holder thing here. I set my new PB single on this cube 2 days ago, maybe? 8.48 seconds. It was full step, 55 moves, 6.5 turns per second. So yeah, I was really happy with that. Finally, we have the Volk M. I ordered this one a little while ago just because I know a little while ago the Volk was an incredibly popular cube, and now I see why. It's incredibly stable, the magnets are pretty strong, but by today's standards it just doesn't hold up like it did a few years ago. Moving on to 4x4. The first 4x4 I ever got was this Rubik's 4x4. It is absolutely massive. This is it compared to a normal size 4x4. It is gigantic, turns absolutely horribly, it is so loud, but it does have this revolutionary thing where you can just turn the middle slice without the top layer turning. Next we have this. I'm pretty sure this is the Meilong 4x4, not the magnetic one, but just the regular Meilong. Feels pretty cheap. The plastic's soft in a way, if that makes sense, and it is really loose right now. Internals are black, which is kind of weird, and evidently a few inner pieces have broken or I've lost them, because there's some parts where the cube just gets caught and doesn't turn. Moving on, for the life of me, I could not figure out what this 4x4 is.
Cube shop, what is that? Honestly, I don't know.
It's pretty old. I looked everywhere to try and find out what it is, and it is good. So good, in fact, that it is still my backup main, but I just have no absolute idea what this is. Still turns pretty well, though. Now we have the Qi MS 4x4. This is also pretty big, and it's pretty blocky. When I tried to take the logo off, a bunch of the residue got stuck, and I just haven't gotten around to try and cleaning that off. But yeah, it's pretty blocky. It turns pretty well. It was my main for a little while, but now I realized it's just not as good as I thought it was. And moving on to my main, this is the Moyu Aosu WRM 4x4. It's a little bit smaller, which I like. I feel like the bigger 4x4s just don't fit as well in my hands and I can't turn as fast. But yeah, this cube is incredible, a little pricey, but I've broken all my PBs on this, and this is my main. Moving on to 5x5, we have the Yushin Cloud 5x5. It's a budget cube. It actually doesn't turn too bad. Budget 5x5 is usually pretty good compared to budget 4x4s. But it's really loud. You can definitely hear the spring noise when you're turning it fast, and it does stuff like this. It's pretty unstable. And then for my main, we have the NxN+WCA 5x5. This is the undisputed best 5x5 on the market right now. It's really stable, but you can turn it really fast. I'm pretty sure I got this with some sort of setup. I don't remember what it was, but all the lube has basically dried out by now. And I've tried to loop it myself. Haven't done a great job, but it's still just a really good 5x5. For 6x6, my first 6x6 was the YJ V2. It's not awful. I mean, like all YJ budget cubes, it's kind of blocky. It doesn't turn incredibly fast, but I mean, you can still solve pretty well with it, but it does stuff like this a lot of the time. For my 6x6 main, same as 5x5, it is the YJ MGC 6x6. Again, the undisputed best 6x6 on the market. It's very stable. You can turn pretty fast on it. The only thing is that I've run into is I come into these weird interlayer catches sometimes. Let me see if I can replicate it. Like this, I just come into these weird interlayer catches, I feel like, a lot more than I should. For 7x7, my first 7x7 was actually the YJ Yufu V2, but I lost it. I have no idea where it went. So now we have the Mr. M 7x7 from Shangshao. It's pillowed, which is interesting. There aren't really a lot of pillowed cubes nowadays for 7x7, which is an interesting choice. This is an absolutely horrible cube. Do not buy it at all. The magnets are not set in place correctly, so you can hear them moving around. That's the sound of the magnets just moving around inside the pieces, and it turns horribly. This center cap doesn't even go in all the way. It's kind of pushing up out of the cube. Yeah, it's just all around awful. For my main 7x7, we have the aforementioned YJ Yufu V2. I bought another one recently just because I wanted to get into 7x7 again. Not as great as the MGC. Again, the MGC is definitely the undisputed best 7x7, but I'm happy with this one for now. I don't plan on practicing a lot of 7x7, so for now this is good. I also lost the red center cap. Now we have my non-WCA NxNs, so the higher order NxNs. First we have 8x8. I'm pretty sure this is a Shangshao 8x8. I don't think they make them anymore. It's stickered, which is an interesting choice for big cubes. Some of the stickers have started to wear away, even though I haven't used this that much. It turns all right for an 8x8. Big, even layered cubes are hard to make turn well. I mean, it's okay, but it's just nice to have an 8x8 in my collection. Now for 9x9, we have the MFJS Meilong 9x9. It's pretty good. It's nice and small, so it fits in my hands, which is always a big plus. Evidently, I failed to super flip it a little while ago and just haven't fixed that yet. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I've done a few solves on it. It's a good 9x9, and again, just nice to have a 9x9 in my collection. I don't have a 10x10, so we move straight on to 11x11. This is, again, the MFJS Meilong 11x11. It's nice and small, again, fits in my hands. That's like a lot of the Meilong big cubes. Evidently, a green piece actually popped out and broke on stream a few nights ago, and I haven't gotten around to gluing that back together and putting it back in. But yeah, I mean, like all the big cubes, just nice to have this in my collection. Finally, for the last of my NxNs, we have the absolute beast, the Moyu 15x15. Again, if I just drop it, you can hear how heavy it is. Weighs, I don't know, probably 10 pounds. So pretty heavy. Takes me about 2 hours to solve. I got this as a Christmas present a few years ago, so that was a pretty good Christmas. But yeah, and I mean, I absolutely love this thing. Don't solve it very much because, again, it takes like 2 hours, but still probably my favorite cube in my collection. We're gonna move on now to the rest of my WCA puzzles. So starting off for Skube, we have the X-Man Wingy Skube. This was definitely the best Skube on the market a few years ago. Now it's kind of fallen off because it doesn't turn all that great. You can still execute on it, but it's just not as good as it once was. And for my main, we have the Moyu Weilong Scube. This has maglev in it. I don't care about Scube. I averaged around 10 seconds, so I have no idea why I got it. I guess I was just blaming the wingy for my bad times, and then I realized that my bad times were just me. This is an incredibly good Scube. I am just really bad at Scube. For Megaminx, we have the original Yushin Little Magic Megaminx with the ridges. It's pretty terrible, doesn't turn very well. The funny story was when I got this, the first one I got was sent with chewed gum in the package. So we obviously sent that back, got a new one, and this is the new one. But it's pretty horrible. It's my only other Megaminx though, so it is my backup main. For my main, we have the YJ Yuhu V2. This is actually a really good Megaminx, especially for the price. It is, I think, just $13. It has this circle design here to make holding on to it a little bit easier. I feel like it's a little bit much, especially with all the bumps on the pieces here as well. But still my main Megaminx. I love it. I don't solve Megaminx very much. I average barely sub 2 minutes. But yeah, no, I still do like this Megaminx. For Square One, we have the Yushin Little Magic Square One. I used to know how to solve Squan, but I forgot all the algorithms after not having done it for about a year. And this has just remained unsolved ever since then. And now just the thought of doing Square One is kind of, I don't know, just doesn't make me feel right. I don't really like Squan. For Pure Minx, we have the original X-Man Bell stickered. This is a pretty good Pure Minx. It's a little loose for my liking right now. I can still do all my algorithms relatively well on it, and it was my main until I got the Pure Minx I'm about to show you. This is the YJ Yulong V2. It's a pretty good Pure Minx. It's stickerless, so in my opinion, that automatically makes it better. It's pretty fast, but way more stable than the Bell, and I feel like I can get way better times on this. I've gotten a 3.6 single and broken all the rest of my PBs on this as well. Now for everyone's least favorite event, but actually probably my favorite WCA event, we have clock. First, we have the Ling-Ao clock. This clock is absolutely horrible. Don't buy it whatsoever. The Chi clock is for sure the best clock on the market right now, and we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I mean, this barely turns. I have to put like maximum effort in it to turn. And sometimes these springs in the inside will skip and pieces will just do this. Will just be rotated on their own. And for my main, we move on to the aforementioned Chi clock. This is by far the best clock on the market right now. It's magnetic. It has over 200 magnets, except I've taken out 14 of them, so it's 200 minus a few. But yeah, no, it's extremely fast. I've actually made a few mods to this, like switching the colors around. I've lubed it, and then I've taken out the corner magnets to make it a little bit faster. But yeah, I love this. Definitely broken all my PBs, and I got my first sub 6 single today, which I was really, really happy about. Alright guys, that's it for the video today. Stay tuned for part 2 of my collection video, where I go over all of my non-WCA events, as well as some of my force cubes and things like that. But for now, that's all I have for you today. Peace.